What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Filling Your Cup. I'm your host, Calvin.
And I'm your other host, David.
And today we're going to talk about budgeting 101. We are back by popular demand. I know the 8 of you are missed us last week, but we're back. So let's get this ball rolling.
All right.
All right, so how to budget your income. A simple bracket to break down your monthly take-home income to help you save and prioritize your needs, your wants, and put money in your savings account. So about 50% of your take-home income should be for your needs, and we're going to go into that specifics later on. 30% should be for your wants, and again, we're going to go into that later. And the last 20% of your take-home income should be for savings and paying off high interest debts, as we talked about in our previous videos.
All right. So the 50% income for needs, right? So what are your needs, right? Needs are you would think is self-explanatory, but sometimes it's not. So we're gonna paint the picture. So your housing costs, grocery costs, basic utilities if it's not covered in your housing arrangement, insurance, transportation, and childcare if you have a kid. We're assuming you have a kid.
All right, so no more than 30% should be geared towards your want, maybe even less, because these are non-essential items or expense, not geared towards your for living or for your work. So yes, that does mean you can't buy or try not to buy that Gucci t-shirt you've been eyeing every month, right? Just to roll up in the club and to stunt on these. Never mind, there's no clubs anymore. But no first class tickets to the Maldives, right? Stop splurging on VIP Coachella tickets because those are expenses that let's be honest that you don't need or should be non-essential. And try not to eat out daily. That's a huge expense. That's a bigger expense than that daily coffee, example that we did in our previous videos. And eating out is a huge expense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the last 20% should be geared towards your savings or paying that high interest debt. And savings could be, for emergency fund, like for the rainy day. Again, reference our previous videos for that rainy day fund. For example, if you blow out a roof or your car pops a tire, you should have some funds available.
How do you blow off your roof?
If there's a leak in your roof, right, or if your car pops a tire, you should have some funds readily accessible to address those problems, right? And again, saving for your retirement, such as 401k or a Roth IRA, because retirement, even though we don't think about it, it's around the corner for some people too. Getting rid of debt, like I said, those high interest debt will further bite you in the butt if you don't pay that off. And again, savings. We want to save and prepare for the future.
Yes, sir. So let's see. So this is like an example we're gonna use. It's a median income for a family of 4 in the U.S. But we're gonna gear towards California, right? Because we live in California. So this 66. So since this 65,000 is like, I think is like the average household income for family of 4. We wouldn't use that figure. And this net pay calculator is based on the tax figures of California. So each state is gonna be different. Now, if you make 65K in California, it's gonna be a lot different than 65K in Idaho or Wyoming, because taxes are different. So from this example, take home salary, annual salary of the household is 65,000. Then the monthly net income or net home or net take home pay, it's roughly $3,914. So that's what we're working with.
All right, so the monthly income of $3,914. So 50% going towards your necessities that we mentioned earlier should be around $1,957. 30% of your wants should no more be $1,174 and $782 should be going towards your savings. And I may be inclined to increase that. And these are numbers that you could play with.
So yeah, so that's kind of like in an ideal world, that's kind of like the breakdown. But we live in reality, and in reality is a much different picture. So assuming you're a family of 4 living in California, the average cost of housing is around $1,500. We're not talking about Bay Area where rent can go to like $3,000 a month. We're talking about like maybe a nice suburb somewhere far away from the city, but not too far away from civilization, right? And let's just say we can get a good rental for $1,500. That's kind of like the average. That's okay. So groceries, you gotta eat, man. You gotta eat. 4 mouths to feed. We're budgeting is around $800 for groceries. This definitely can vary depending on like how many meals you eat, how often you eat, and are you like a vegan versus a meat eater? It all goes into this, but we're saying around $800. Like that's kind of like around the budget. Like the basic utilities, assuming it doesn't get covered in your housing, like water, electricity, internet, that you gotta pay out of pocket. So $1,500, we're averaging that for the basic cost. Insurance. So this is kind of like just like a really average like hypothetical insurance plan out there, but it's pretty fair, right? So like we're assuming an HMO plan for a family of 4. Plans can cost like around $20,600 a year. We're assuming you work for somebody, so it's like an employer sponsored plan. So employer pays 60%, you pay like roughly 40%. So after all that, your monthly cost is around $553. I think it's pretty fair amount. Car insurance, assuming you don't live in the city, you live kind of far away, you do need a car insurance get to point A to point B. So you do need car insurance with the car. So car insurance, $84 a month. Transportation, assuming you get like a used car, and you're financing it, $391 a month. And childcare, this is kind of like a gray area because then depending on how old your children are, you probably do need childcare. But like right now, since it's COVID, you probably get to stay at home and work. You probably save someone on childcare, and maybe you got like a family member that can take care of your kids. So we're assuming childcare is 0, but we know this is a lot different depending on your family situation. But normally we're just gonna assume it's $0. So your total expenses for the month is $3,478 a month, and that means you're left with $436. So Calvin, this is a very different view from what we painted before, right? If you look at your previous slide, we're assuming the 50% needs is about $1,900, but our actual in reality our cost is like $3,478. So this budget plan will probably not work for someone that is living really like paycheck to paycheck, and they're not really making that much money, because this is a family of 4 we're talking about here. So that budget plan might work if you're like a single individual. I can see that working, but then for family or 4, it's probably not going to work. And then that's just kind of like the reality of it is even though you're doing everything right, you're budgeting, you're spending only on the necessities. You're still only left with a small piece of the cake at the end of the day. So I mean, but the thing, this still shows you how budgeting can help, because you know where your money going to. Because otherwise, you might not even see this $436. You might be negative at the end of the month because you're not budgeting it correctly. Because then you don't see what's your constraint, how much you can spend on each individual category, right? So so Calvin, what do you think about this budgeting?
Exactly. It's good to have a breakdown of your costs each month, so you know what you could kind of allocate towards and not allocate, and the keyword constraint, right? You want to have control of your money, and don't let it control you, right? You don't want to be slaving away, paying the high interest debt if you go into debt because you accidentally bought that Gucci t-shirt and can't return it. So yeah, real life example. It's an eye opener for me. It's an eye opener for me because this is numbers based on the average Californian income. So that's most of us living here in California. Um, so yeah, it was an eye opener. So that's further, illustrates our point that you have to budget and have to be in control of your money.
Yeah, and in reality, like this budget would work if, let's say, for example, your budget for home is $1,500, and then you're like deciding between, oh, do I want to live in an area where it's 1,400, but it's a little farther away, or is like, or 1,800 because it's a little closer. That's like, if you have a budget and like hard set numbers, you can kind of see the pros and cons. Because then at the end of the month, you only have $436. So if you live somewhere more expensive, this $436 dwindles down to like maybe 236, and this is like your only savings right here. So I just want to like reiterate the power of budgeting, because you do want to, even though you might not follow the budget exactly, just know where your money is going, how much money you have to allocate for each category, and how much are you actually spending. And you might be able to cut off some from groceries, maybe cut off some utilities, maybe like you say, hey, I'm using a lot of water, cut that down. I'm using a lot of electricity, cut that down. I'm gonna use candles. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, at least this is at least like a blueprint of what you're spending, and then from here you can decide on what you can cut. And from right here we have no spending for the 30%, which is the wants, which is, I mean, you have to be really disciplined, right? Because then if you factor in you have some wants in here, then you might be like Count said, you might go into some credit card debt because you really don't have money to go out and eat. So I think budget aside, you should definitely track your how much money you're taking in home every month, and how much and where the money is going to. Like every dollar, and then from there you can make some decisions on how you want to save, what you want to cut back, and why not. Because if you don't have something like this to follow behind, and you just kind of like you're just throwing money in the dark, at the end of the year you might be down like a couple $1,000 in credit card debts because you're like, oh man, what happened to all my money? I don't know. I didn't budget anything, so anything goes. So I mean, I guess that's kind of like the key point we want to hit on. And so Calvin, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just again, these are numbers based on a specific lifestyle. Your lifestyle, numbers will change based on your lifestyle. So, but again, the most important part is to know your lifestyle and know how you're spending, and budget. Yep, that's it.
All right, man. I mean, like always, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.
Next video.